What if the person you are today is only the beginning of who you could become? Friedrich Nietzsche did not ask us to follow. He dared us to rise. In a world of conformity, the Übermensch stands not above others, but beyond their limits. Friedrich Nietzsche was not a comfortable thinker. He did not write to reassure you, to make you feel safe, or to confirm what you already believed. He wrote to wake you up. His words cut like lightning, sharp, sudden, unsettling, and nowhere is this more true than in his concept of the Übermensch. Often misunderstood, the Übermensch is not a superhero, not a dictator, not someone with power over others. The Übermensch is the next evolution of the human spirit. It is the person who rises above the herd, who breaks free from imposed morality, who creates their own values, and who lives with fierce authenticity and creative power. To understand the Übermensch, we must begin with where Nietzsche saw the world in crisis. He declared, "God is dead," not as an attack on religion, but as a statement of spiritual collapse. The old foundations of meaning, religion, tradition, authority, were crumbling. In their place, Nietzsche saw emptiness, a growing nihilism, a world where people drifted without purpose, without center, and yet, within that collapse, he saw an opportunity, not to fall into despair, but to rise into something greater. Enter the Übermensch, the Overman, the one who goes beyond, not beyond other people, but beyond themselves. The Übermensch is the answer to nihilism, not by returning to old values, but by creating new ones, not by following a map, but by becoming a path. For Nietzsche, the highest task of life is not to conform, but to create, to become who you truly are, to say yes to life, even in its suffering, to look into the abyss and still choose to dance. This vision is not easy. It is not safe. It demands everything. Nietzsche wrote, "Man is something that shall be overcome." He saw the human as a bridge, not a destination, a transition between the animal and the Übermensch. And most people, he believed, choose to stay small. They follow the herd. They obey. They numb themselves with comfort, distraction, and shallow virtue. But the Übermensch says no, not out of rebellion, but out of deeper freedom. They say yes to struggle, yes to solitude, yes to becoming. The Übermensch is not born. They are forged, through suffering, through honesty, through self-overcoming. Nietzsche did not believe in perfection. He believed in process. The Übermensch is not someone who never falls. They are someone who rises again, and again, each time more true, more whole, more fierce in their affirmation of life. Importantly, Nietzsche connects this idea with eternal recurrence, the thought experiment that asks, what if you had to live this life again and again? Forever? Would you curse it, or would you embrace it? The Übermensch is the one who says yes, who lives in such a way that they would gladly repeat every moment. Because they are not waiting for life to change. They are choosing to live as if each act mattered deeply, eternally. That is power. That is freedom. That is the beginning of rising beyond your limits. So who is the Übermensch? It is not someone you will meet. It is someone you must become. Not by climbing higher, but by going deeper, by stripping away what is false, by facing the chaos within, and by daring to live a life that is not borrowed, but born from your own depths. Nietzsche did not call us to believe. He called us to become. His philosophy is not a doctrine to memorize, but a fire to walk through. It is a challenge to burn away everything false, everything borrowed, everything passive. In his eyes, the greatest danger was not pain, but comfort, not chaos, but conformity. He feared the last man, the one who avoids all discomfort, who lives for safety, who has forgotten how to dream. The Ubermensch is the opposite of the last man. Where the last man avoids struggle, the Übermensch embraces it. Where the last man seeks approval, the Übermensch seeks truth. Where the last man follows, the Ubermensch creates. But how do we break the chains? How do we begin the transformation? It starts with honesty, brutal, uncomfortable, uncompromising honesty. Nietzsche asks you to look into the mirror and strip away illusion. Not just social illusion, but personal illusion. Who are you trying to please? What beliefs have you inherited without question? What parts of yourself have you silenced to fit in? What dreams have you abandoned in exchange for security? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary, because until you face the lie, you cannot live the truth. Next comes courage. The courage to say no. No to what insults your soul. No to what shrinks your voice. No to what numbs your mind. Nietzsche did not admire obedience. He admired the individual who dares to walk alone, who dares to say, "This is my path," even if no one understands it. The Ubermensch is not a rebel for show. They are a creator of value. They do not destroy for the sake of destruction. They tear down what is false to make space for what is real. Then comes creation. This is the heart of Nietzsche's vision. The Ubermensch is not just free from the herd, they are free for something. Free to create meaning, free to live with passion, free to shape life like an artist shapes clay. Nietzsche believed that the highest form of life is artistic, not just in painting or music, but in how you live, how you think, how you love, how you suffer. The Ubermensch does not wait for meaning. They make it. They do not follow purpose. They forge it. This is not a fantasy. It is a discipline. Becoming the Ubermensch is not an act of ego. It is an act of integrity. It is standing in your life and saying, "I will not shrink. I will not copy. I will not lie. I will live a life that feels true, even if it is hard, especially if it is hard." Nietzsche also knew that this path would be lonely. True transformation always is. When you stop playing the role society gave you, some people will resist. When you stop agreeing to what you no longer believe, Some relationships will shift, but this loneliness is not punishment. It is purification. It is the silence in which your real voice can finally speak. It is the emptiness where your real self can finally be born. You will lose old comforts, but you will gain a new strength, a strength that is not loud, not arrogant, but steady, fierce, free. The Übermensch does not need permission. They do not wait to be chosen. They choose themselves. They rise, not above others, but above limitation. They rise, not to dominate, but to illuminate. They rise, not with pride, but with purpose. This is the breaking of chains. Not just societal chains, but mental ones, emotional ones, invisible ones. It is the slow, sacred work of unbecoming who you were told to be, so you can become who you truly are. You do not need to be born a philosopher to live like the Ubermensch. You do not need to wear Nietzsche's name to walk his path. The journey of rising beyond yourself begins where you are, right now, in your thoughts, in your choices, in your refusal to accept a smaller life. To live as the Ubermensch in today's world is not about becoming superior. It is about becoming more fully alive. It is about living with intensity, depth, and integrity in a world that often asks you to be shallow, safe, and silent. In daily life, living as the Übermensch means asking deeper questions. It means refusing easy answers. It means looking at your work, your relationships, your habits, and asking, does this reflect who I am, or just who I was told to be? It means turning pain into fuel, not excuse. It means facing suffering not with bitterness, but with boldness. It means choosing growth over comfort, even when it hurts. You may not have control over the world around you, but you always have the power to define the world within you. The Übermensch does not wait for perfect conditions. They create their own weather. They step into uncertainty with eyes open and heart awake. They are not fragile. They are fluid. They bend, but do not break. They fall, but do not stay down. They lose, but do not lose themselves. This path is not loud. It does not need applause. The Übermensch does not live for validation. They live for vision. They are not driven by fear of judgment, but by love for truth. Even when the world misunderstands them, they continue. Even when the path is unclear, they walk. They are guided not by maps, but by inner fire. And this fire does not burn others. It burns away what no longer serves. To live as the Übermensch is to create your own moral compass. Not based on imitation, but on insight. You do not rebel for the sake of being different. You act from clarity. You create not because it is trendy, but because it is true. You live not because others expect you to, but because you have something inside you that refuses to die quietly. This way of living is rare. It will challenge you, but it will also liberate you. When you stop trying to fit, you begin to unfold. When you stop seeking escape, You begin to engage. When you stop blaming the world, you begin to build a new one inside yourself. Nietzsche knew that the Übermensch would never be common, but he also knew that in each of us is a seed, a potential, a call. It begins with a whisper. You are meant for more. And if you listen to that whisper long enough, it becomes a roar, a rising, a revolution of one. This is not about grand gestures. It is about daily choices. Do I tell the truth, or stay silent? Do I act with courage, or hide behind fear? Do I create something meaningful, or consume what is easy? In each answer, you are either becoming or betraying yourself. You do not need to be finished. You only need to begin. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to be real. The Ubermensch is not a destination. It is a direction, a way of being, a refusal to shrink, a vow to rise. And with every step you take toward that deeper self, the world around you begins to change, not because it is easier, but because you are stronger. Thank you for walking this path into Nietzsche's boldest vision. The concept of the Übermensch is not a fantasy. It is a call, a challenge to stop waiting for permission, to stop hiding behind fear, to stop living someone else's story, and to start becoming the writer of your own. If this message stirred something in you, let it stay, let it grow. Ask yourself today, where am I still holding back? What fear have I mistaken for truth? What would it look like to rise beyond this version of me? If you want to continue this journey of thought, courage, and self-overcoming, we welcome you to stay with the Life Philosophy channel. Here, we do not chase comfort. We seek clarity. We question deeply. We live fully. And we rise, not above others, but beyond our former selves. Until next time, stay fierce, stay awake, and above all, stay true to the future you are becoming.